Gunshots. They don't want me here.
From Canada.
Canada.
You made these very stick as a big gun.
Like this and just raking the van. This is what I woke up to. The sound of just claws raking the body of my vehicle.
Tonight, we look at 6 disturbing camping encounters caught on camera. Real moments, real danger. Don't forget to subscribe for more terrifying footage like this. Let's begin. In April 2025, a solo survivalist ventured deep into the snow-covered wilderness of Bridger Teton National Forest, Wyoming. His YouTube channel, Journey, is known for documenting harsh, unforgiving environments, blizzards, freezing nights, and remote forests. This trip was supposed to be routine, a test of endurance, another quiet trek into the cold. But as the wind picked up and the storm closed in, something unexpected appeared on the trail. The weather shifted suddenly. Snow fell heavier. Wind howled through the trees. He adjusted his route, heading toward an old mountain shelter he had visited once before, a forgotten ranger's cabin nestled deep in the valley. That's when he noticed her, a dog, thin and trembling, trailing behind him at a distance. She didn't bark, didn't beg, just followed. Reaching the cabin, he let her in. The cold was biting. Firewood was scarce. He made several exhausting trips into the storm, chopping enough to last the night. Inside, he dried his soaked boots, fed the dog from his rations, and stoked the small stove until the room began to thaw. Outside, the blizzard raged. But in that dim cabin, 2 unlikely survivors huddled together, silent, tired, and alive. Some viewers noticed how the dog never led. She followed, waited, and stepped inside as if she belonged. Had she lived there before, or had she been abandoned long ago? One question lingers. If she hadn't found him on that trail, would she have survived the night at all? This wasn't a terrifying encounter. There were no shadows in the trees, no voices in the dark. But in the middle of a snowstorm, 2 strangers found each other. One human, one stray. It wasn't fear that defined this moment. It was the quiet weight of being seen and not being alone. What do you think brought her to that trail, and to him, that night? Taran Outdoors, a channel known for outdoor adventures, published this video on March 10th, 2025. In it, Taran recounts a deeply personal story that started as a routine mountain biking outing, but quickly transformed into something far more emotional. The trip took place in Whitefish, Montana, a region admired for its scenic beauty and popular trails. The day was perfect. Clear skies, fresh mountain air, and trails filled with hikers, bikers, and pet owners. Everything felt normal as the group set off.
a mountain bike trip to Whitefish, Montana. And what happened on this day became a memory, a story that I share often because it impacted me deeply, a lesson was learned, and will forever be engraved in my mind. Now, if you are a human, you have likely judged another person based off of how they look. And if you're really honest with yourself, I bet you can remember at least one of those times when you have been proven very, very wrong. Well, this is one of those times for me. If you haven't been to Whitefish, Montana, I highly recommend. It is a gorgeous, safe, clean little town about 30 minutes away from Glacier National Park. And in the summertime, it is known for its incredible hiking and mountain biking trails. We rented some mountain bikes and headed out to the trail, which was about a mile away. Trailhead was busy. There were all sorts of people out and about. You had hikers, you had bikers, you had people walking with their dogs, people running with their dogs off leash, big groups of people, people walking by themselves, and so on. And when you're on a mountain bike, navigating around them, your eyes are wide open, paying attention to your every move, and often calling out things like, excuse me.
Along the way, they passed various people, including a woman walking her dog without a leash. Things remained uneventful until they noticed a man walking alone ahead of them. He wore a white shirt and glasses. As they approached, they signaled their presence like usual, but got no response. They tried again. Still nothing. His total lack of reaction was unsettling. At the time, they brushed it off with a nervous laugh and a casual comment. The ride continued, but the mood slowly shifted. Fatigue started setting in, and they decided to turn around. While retracing their route, they didn't encounter the man again, but they did come across the same woman they'd seen earlier. This time, her demeanor had completely changed. She appeared anxious, pacing, and her dog was nowhere in sight. Stopping to check on her, they assumed she had lost her pet. But then came the shocking revelation.
Where I thought, if we don't turn around right this moment, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it back to the bike shop. We turned around and headed back. I kind of thought we were going to run into that guy again, but we ended up not seeing him. We did, however, come up on that woman. This time, she looked very frantic. She was walking in circles, looking around. She seemed lost, and she didn't have her dog with her, which prompted us to stop. So we asked her, "Ma'am, are you okay? Are you missing your dog?" And she replied, "Well, I am missing my dog. The dog is with my husband. I'm actually missing my husband. He has dementia and he doesn't have a cell phone on him." We asked her, was he wearing a white shirt and glasses? And she responded, yes. In that moment, I felt two things. One, I felt a lot of guilt because that was the guy with dementia was the guy that I called a serial killer. But I also felt a very strong responsibility to find this man.
It wasn't just the dog that was missing. Her husband had vanished as well. He had no cell phone and suffered from dementia. When she described his appearance, a white shirt and glasses, it all fell into place. The man they had casually passed earlier was her missing husband. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Taryn and the group quickly offered to help. They took her contact information and began searching the area, backtracking through the trails in hopes of finding him again.
We mentioned who we were and that his wife was looking for him, but he didn't quite understand what was going on even after we explained it to him. After about 30 minutes of trying to call his wife, she finally picked up, and it turned out that they had actually parked on an entirely different trailhead, which was about a 30-minute drive from where we were. So we waited there with him. And when his wife pulled up, her face was much different. Her eyes were lit up. You could tell she was very thankful, and I'm sure very relieved that we were able to locate her husband. We stood there and talked for a bit, and I remember her telling me that if we ever made it back to Glacier National Park, we had to hike a trail called Iceberg Lake.
After some misdirection and growing concern, they reached the main parking area. There, standing alone in the crowd, was the same man, looking completely unaware of where he was. They tried to speak with him, but it became clear he didn't fully understand what was happening. He hadn't even realized he was lost. Eventually, they managed to reach his wife by phone. It turned out she had parked at an entirely different trailhead nearly 30 minutes away. They stayed with the man until she arrived. When she did, the relief on her face was unmistakable. After exchanging a few words, she offered them a heartfelt recommendation for a hike at Iceberg Lake, a small gesture of thanks after an unforgettable encounter. This experience served as a humbling reminder of how quickly assumptions can mislead. What first appeared strange turned out to be a real emergency. It's a powerful example of how awareness and compassion can change outcomes. How often do we misjudge those around us without knowing their story? And what might happen if we paused to look a little deeper? Justin, a popular YouTuber known for diving into strange and offbeat places, traveled to Devil's Castle in Turkey, a site shrouded in legends, grim history, and rumors of old-world rituals. He expected a spooky but exciting trip to document for his audience. What he didn't anticipate was how quickly the situation would take a dangerous turn.
Oh no. It's a light. Is this place lit up at night? It wouldn't make any sense though. I mean, obviously the light's here, but the town is way beyond the edge. You can't even see it, so it would be lit up for... no one will be able to see it.
While setting up camp near the ruins, he realized something strange. The area was completely dark. That stood out because the castle was usually illuminated at night. Curious, he started looking around and noticed a set of electrical wires that appeared to have been deliberately severed. At first, it just seemed unusual, but later that night, things escalated.
2 more gunshots. They zip overhead. Guys, someone came with a gun and fired shots at the castle. They're firing shots at me. They're coming closer. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. What would you do? I left everything behind, and now I'm trying to find a safe place to go. That's him there with a flashlight. You hear those gunshots? They don't want me here.
Gunfire suddenly echoed through the area. What began as distant pops quickly became a serious concern. The shots sounded close, and it wasn't clear who they were aimed at. Alone and unsure if he was being targeted, Justin contacted a local acquaintance for help. Authorities showed up shortly after.
Hello. Merhaba.
Mike, where are you from? From Canada.
Canada.
You made me very slick. It's a big gun.
Yok, sorun yok. No problem.
No problem.
Turkish. Hoş geldin. Yola bakalım.
Nereye? Aşağı mı inmiştin?
Yeah.
Çağırdık seni.
Sen neredeydin?
Can I make video? No?
They questioned him and decided to relocate him to a hotel for safety. But the real twist came later, when it became clear what had triggered the panic. Apparently, nearby residents had mistaken him for a treasure hunter. In this part of Turkey, some people illegally enter historic sites like Devil's Castle in search of hidden artifacts or valuables, sometimes damaging the location in the process. His arrival, paired with strange gear and an unfamiliar vehicle, raised suspicions. The police had also noticed a damaged electrical control box near the entrance. With the castle lights out and an unfamiliar man spotted poking around with equipment, they assumed someone had intentionally disabled the lighting to sneak in undetected. This incident highlights how easily explorers can be misunderstood, especially in regions where historical sites are at risk of looting. One person's curiosity can look like someone else's criminal intent. But what if it wasn't just a misunderstanding? What if someone had already cut the lights, waiting for someone like him to show up? Matt's channel is known for documenting bold camping trips, but one particular outing stood apart because of how rapidly it turned from routine to risky. What began as a standard hike quickly escalated into a tense encounter with extreme weather. Despite early warnings about incoming windstorms, Matt pressed on, believing he had a safe window before conditions got serious. But almost immediately, it became clear the winds were arriving faster and stronger than expected.
The winds aren't supposed to get heavy until like another 3 or 4 hours. But this is insane. Just check the wind, 65 miles an hour up here. That's what it's all about. Let's go find somewhere.
As he climbed toward higher ground, gusts tore through the area, reaching speeds of up to 65 miles per hour. The force made it difficult to stay balanced, and every step became a fight against the elements. Once he found a somewhat sheltered spot, Matt hurried to pitch his tent, hoping it would provide at least temporary protection. Inside, he tried to calm himself with a warm meal, all while the wind battered the fabric around him.
Just what you need after a bit of a stomp up the hill. Just check the wind outside, currently 60 mile an hour, gusts of 60.
But the storm refused to let up. The tent shook violently as gusts grew more frequent and intense, far earlier than forecasted. What should have arrived in the middle of the night was already hammering him by 9 p.m. He double-checked the weather app, confused by how far off the timing was. Something wasn't adding up. Still, he chose to wait it out.
The gusts are getting more and more frequent. We're rocking around a bit, but pretty solid. Weirdly, I just checked the weather forecast again, and the winds aren't really supposed to be that strong as they are right now until 1 o'clock in the morning, and it's 9 o'clock now, so yeah.
Later that night, the wind reached a new level of chaos. The entire tent shuddered with each wave of gusts, and now rain had joined in, pounding relentlessly from above. Trapped inside, Matt could only listen, hoping the shelter wouldn't collapse.
Rain's on. It's getting quite heavy now. Said there was going to be a weather front. It has arrived. It is kicking off out there.
By morning, against all odds, the tent was still standing, and Matt had made it through the night unharmed. His survival might seem lucky, but it underscores how nature doesn't always follow the forecast. In the wild, even a small miscalculation can lead to serious consequences. What if the wind had shifted just a bit more? Or the gear failed in the middle of the night? Would he have had a way out? Eek Akers, a YouTuber who embraces the van life, experienced a chilling event that shattered his sense of safety on the road. What began as a routine overnight stop quickly turned into a night he'll never forget. After a full day of exploring, he parked in a seemingly quiet spot, ready to rest.
And I was sleeping right here. I always sleep on the driver's side, my feet down there and my head up here near the tailgate of the van. So this is where I was sleeping. And I always sleep with a knife. That's all I have. And so I've got blackout panels in the windows that are felt covered. You can't see anything outside. And then I've got my blackout curtains there at the header that I made for my van that slide and close off. They come together and then they snap right down the center. So the whole interior of this van was all blacked out and closed off so nothing could look inside my van. Well, as I was sleeping here at roughly 1 o'clock in the morning, I was awakened at this corner of the van, in this corner. And with the gate closed, there was something on the back of my van right where my head was. My head was right here, and I got a flashlight here on me, you guys. Bear with me 1 second because this motion-activated light does not stay on, and I don't have any garage lights out here yet. And it startled me awake. And as I'm laying here sleeping, I'm thinking to myself, what the hell is outside of my van? Now, what I did is up front, there was a console that was attached to the driver's seat, and it would swing up and lock into place. And it blocked my ability to get from this bed into the driver's seat. So I took that apart and took it off the seat. And now I have a removable console that I can slide out of the way to the right of my cooler over into that corner, which allows me to go from this bed between the seats like an RV and get right into the driver's seat. And that's exactly what I did.
His van was fully blacked out for privacy. Windows covered, curtains drawn, no visibility in or out. Around 1 a.m., while asleep near the rear of the van, he was suddenly jolted awake by a noise. Something was moving just inches from his head, right outside the back panel. Startled, he quickly navigated from the bed into the front seat, a maneuver made possible by removing a center console earlier for emergencies like this. Without waiting to investigate, he started the van and drove off into the night. Once safely parked in a better lit area, he stepped outside to assess the situation. That's when he noticed something truly disturbing.
This thing that was reaching the roof of my van was hooking on with its claws like this and just raking the van. This is what I woke up to, the sound of just claws raking the body of my vehicle. And so it scratched the van right here because these claws were coming across, and you can see there's more scratches right there. See, there's more, see the claw marks right there? And there's some right there. It was digging at my van really bad. Let me see if I can, right there. You guys can see the claw marks right there? That one right there, and those ones right there. It scratched the living hell out of the paint. And the weird thing is that this thing scratched my vehicle everywhere. Can you see that? I don't know if I can get the light right there. You can see the long scratch going right along the fender of my van. It did that as well. And it continues up to the door. It was like it was trying to get its claws.
Deep scratches covered his van, from the roof to the doors and fenders. Long claw marks raked across the paint, etched with so much force it looked like something had been trying to break in. The gouges weren't just superficial. They had torn into the surface, some stretching across multiple panels. It was clear, whatever had been outside wasn't brushing against the van, it was attacking it. The markings suggested claws, not tools or human tampering. Some of the worst damage appeared near where he had been sleeping. The incident raised serious questions about safety while solo camping, especially when parked off-grid. Had he been in a tent instead of a van, the outcome could have been very different. Was this the work of a large animal, like a bear, or something more unusual? And why did it target his van so aggressively? What started as a laid-back fishing trip quickly spiraled into a high-stakes encounter. The group had been enjoying a typical day by the water, casting their lines with hopes of a routine catch. But instead of snagging a regular fish, they hooked into something massive. As the fight on the line escalated, it became obvious. They had a shark on the hook.
Hi, Miguel! Miguel! You have it around you.
The atmosphere shifted instantly from relaxed to tense. During the chaos, one of the fishermen lost his footing and slipped into the water, landing alarmingly close to the thrashing predator. It was one of those moments where time seemed to stop. Anything could have gone wrong. Luckily, he managed to reach a nearby rock, pulling himself out of the water just in time. Though shaken, he was unharmed. It was a terrifying near miss that turned an ordinary outing into a memory none of them will soon forget. Some speculate the shark had been drawn close to shore by bait or movement. Others believe it was just bad luck mixed with a rare encounter in the wrong place at the wrong time. Was this a one-in-a-million freak event, or a reminder of how little control we really have out in nature? Drop your thoughts in the comments. That's all for tonight's video. Which encounter gave you chills? Let us know in the comments below. Got your own experience? We want to hear it. And whatever you do, don't miss what's coming next.